Welcome to Sports Leadership, the Seduction of Leadership, Part 1. In this section we're going to be looking at briefly the theories of leadership, what clusters they fall into. We'll look at these in more detail later. But basically we started off with the idea of universalistic theory, and there are two theories more or less in this section that we're going to look at. The first is great man theory, so that's before the bulk of the Second World War, pretty much. And the idea was that you had inherited traits that distinguished leaders from non-leaders, and it was because of who you were born as that you could lead. Then there were the trait theories, where the distinguishing characteristics of a leader could be copied by someone else, so you could hone your traits to become a better leader and work on what you needed. So intelligence, self-confidence and appearance, if you had those things, then you could be a leader. But after the Second World War in particular, where human behaviour suddenly became quite obvious when it was either good or bad, we came up with this group of studies called the behaviour theories, where leadership is actually about what actions we take. So there were the Iowa studies of Kurt Lewin, where he came up with autocratic kinds of leaders, democratic kinds of leaders, and laissez-faire types of leaders. There were the Ohio State studies that were driven by Harris Fleischman, where he looked at task orientation and relationship orientation, consideration and initiating structure. There were the University of Michigan studies led by Rensis Likert, that were employee-centred or job-centred, so task and relationship, and then things like the University of Texas, Blake and Mouton leadership grid. So there were a whole range of things looking at our behaviour. We got past that though and started thinking about this thing called contingency theories, where actually we started looking at the complexity of the whole thing, where we realised that the person and so the leader and the follower and the situation actually all have a lot of impact on what we do. So there's quite a bit of stuff in there, and we'll look at a number of different theories like Hersey and Blanchard's situational theory, House's path goal theory, the Vroom-Yago contingency model, substitutes for leadership, and Fiedler's contingency theory. So you'll get a little chunk of that and see whether you like any of them. Influence theories have been around for quite a while, but they're far more transformational. So they're actually about how we use our influence with others. So under influence theories you get Machiavellianism, so where people can be manipulated by others. Charismatic leadership, visionary leadership all fit in there. And then lastly we've got relational theories, so that's an idea that leadership effectiveness it has a lot to do with how well the leader creates a relationship with those people around them. And that's transformational leadership, servant leadership, level 5 leadership, which we'll be looking at quite a bit in this course. So that's a brief overview. So the schools are universalistic, contingency and transformational. Most of our time will be spent focusing on the transformational area, but unless you understand where we've come from, it's difficult to understand why we're heading to where we're heading.